I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if we can all stay standing, just want to have a moment of silence for Karen Stanek. This is the first meeting we've had since she passed away, so if we can all just bow our heads for a moment. Thank you. I believe Karen's husband, Fred, would like to address the board. Fred, come on up if you'd like to.
For the record, since I know it's public comment, Fred Stanek, 22 North Benham Road. And Karen, I know, is very appreciative of your agenda item this evening, honoring her with a moment of silence, especially since you mentioned in the agenda Selectwoman, Karen Stanek. Karen was advocating for a change in the law from the term selectmen or selectman to select persons. And if I may just read a portion of our daughter's eulogy with regard to that issue, or something similar. This is to quote my daughter, Karen, Courtney. This is tough, so bear with me.
I'll take your time.
I would be remiss if I didn't take a moment to mention a few other things that my mom made her smile. So in no particular order, and Courtney goes on. Advocating for women's rights, even if just to tell me, her daughter, and other women, that while it's okay to love and lean on a partner, we must be able to take care of ourselves. It isn't lost on me that she went home to the Lord on International Women's Day, and I wasn't surprised to hear that she was lobbying for a change in the term title from selectman to select person. So Karen's very appreciative of what you're doing this evening. And I would like to take a moment, this opportunity, to thank everyone in the town for the outpouring of support for Karen and for my family. We greatly appreciate your attendance at Karen's wake and funeral mass, your sending of flowers and cards, your contributions to the Karen R. Stanek Memorial Scholarship Fund, and most importantly, your prayers. I'd like to thank all of you who attended the wake and the funeral. It was really generous to take the time out for the flowers you sent, for lowering the flags to half staff. My son Patrick drove by Town Hall in Karen's car and said, "Mom, this is for you," showing her the flag. I'd like to thank the Town Hall staff for their support, the police department, members of the Board of Education, central office staff, and everyone at Seymour High School, and everyone in the town who came out to the wake and the funeral. I was just astonished by the number of people who attended the wake and the funeral. Didn't realize that Karen had touched so many people. And I thank all of you. It was her honor to sit with you on this board. And while all of you may disagree on political issues or town issues or policy issues, she loved you all, and she appreciated your support over the years that she was on this board. And thank you very much. And one last plug for Karen. She would like to see more trees cut along Holbrook Road. So, just remember that. I know she was a pain about that all the time. Thank you so much, all of you.
Thank
From
you, Fred.
myself, Courtney, David, and Patrick. Thank you.
Absolutely. She will certainly be missed.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to item number 4, public comment. Is there any public comment? Name and address for the record.
Jamie Brennan, 124 Bungay Road. I'd like to encourage this board to provide more legal counsel to planning and zoning, of which I'm on the commission. We recently had a public hearing that was held open. There was problems in the way it was noticed. Proper persons weren't noticed. At the time of the public hearing, the permitted uses that were listed were inaccurate, as some were not allowed by DEEP within that area. I had to leave. I couldn't stay for the regular meeting because my mother's funeral was the next day. But when I looked yesterday, the information in the town clerk's office for the continued public hearing is the same as the original, and it's incorrect. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Is there any other public comments? Okay, hearing no public comment, we'll move on to item number 5. Approve minutes of the March 5th, 2019 regular meeting. Motion by Anne Marie, second by Al. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Chair votes aye, motion passes 4-0-2. Please note Bob and Tricia's abstention. Item number 6, approve minutes from the March 5th, 2019 public hearing. Can I have a motion to do so? Motion by Anne Marie, second by Stefan. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Abstained? Chair votes aye, motion passes 4-0-2. And please note Bob and Tricia's abstention. Okay, item number 7, discuss, take possible action regarding selection of selectmen. So at this point, we have, as we know, an opening on the board. I had some discussions with Stefan as to who the Democratic Party might like to see. And then I also thought about who would be a good person to replace Karen, someone I think that she would be proud to have sitting in her seat to finish the remainder of her term. So at this point, I'd like to put forward Rob Van Agen to fill the vacancy in the Board of Selectmen until the November election.
Second.
Motion by Stefan, second by Al. And just under notes, this he will be seated at the April 2nd meeting. We'll keep Karen's seat open tonight out of respect for her, unless there's any issue with that, Mr. Paterla. No? Okay. Okay, any other comments, thoughts?
Yeah. Absolutely, Frank.
Thank you, Fred. Any other comments from board, questions from board members? That's Rob Ray's right in the front row. So I can at least stand up, everybody can meet him, know him. So if there's no other questions or comments, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Chair votes aye, motion passes 6-0.
The
Well,
peanut
I
gallery
mean,
wants to
yeah, I
use
mean,
their, camera there, Kurt.
I'm not sure how the meetings in Derby and Ansonia go that you're at all the time, but in Seymour, we follow an agenda that we publish in advance. We'll be quick. You could take him out in the hallway and do a quick interview.
Who's that back there?
Yeah,
Well, who is that?
Who's that?
yeah, it's Eugene. Rev, if you can go out in the hall with Eugene Driscoll from the Valley Independent Sentinel. Eugene would like to do an interview because that's the only person that covers Seymour.
Yeah.
Ah. Yes, it is. 30 years later, Gene, 30 years later. Okay. Item number 8.
Fantastic.
Action in lieu of special town meeting regarding a resolution to appropriate $495,000 for the purchase and installation of interactive touch panels and related equipment for the Seymour Public Schools and upgrades and renovations to various town buildings, and to authorize the issue of bonds, notes, temporary notes, and other obligations in an amount not to exceed $495,000 to finance said appropriation. So last Tuesday, even though we did not have a Board of Selectmen meeting, we still held the special town meeting. We did not have a quorum at that meeting, and that was not due to any weather-related issues. Because we did not have a quorum, this action now returns to us to take action. So at this point, I'll entertain a motion that the Board of Selectmen approve the resolution from the special town meeting as presented. Motion by Anne Marie, second by Al. Is there any discussion? And Stefan, you got all the information you were looking for, right? Yeah. Okay. Okay, any questions, comments? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? Chair votes aye, motion passes 6-0. Item number 9, discussion, take possible action regarding 2019 National Day of Prayer. In your packets, we have a letter from Pastor LeSue, which I'll read into the record. Excuse me. It says, Dear Mr. Miller, the National Day of Prayer will be held this year on Thursday, May 2nd, 2019. This is a national holiday which will be observed across our nation. We would like to observe this day at 12 noon at Seymour Town Hall. I'll be inviting churches and pastors in our town to participate. Would it be possible to have this service at Town Hall as we've had in the past? If so, I would call on you for a brief talk, and would you read a proclamation from the town of Seymour? Pastors will participate in prayers, and a message will be given appropriate for the occasion. Thank you for all the help and cooperation you have given us in the past years. Could we use the Norma Drummer Room? Sincerely, Reverend Russell LeSue. So at this point, I'll entertain a motion that the Board of Selectmen approve the request of Reverend Russell LeSue for the National Day of Prayer to be held on Thursday, May 2nd, 2019 at 12 noon in the Norma Drummer Room. Motion by Bob, second by Anne Marie. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor? Opposed, abstained. Chair votes aye, motion passes 6-0. Item number 10, discussion, take possible action regarding CERC agreement. In your packets, you have a letter of agreement between CERC, which is the Connecticut Economic Resource Center, and the town of Seymour. The Economic Development Commission, as we know, met with CERC to discuss the potential of them filling the role made vacant by our Economic Development Director. I wanted them to have the opportunity to chart a new course for economic development if they chose to do so. Took a little longer than we had hoped, but I think it's certainly going to be worthwhile. So what you have in front of you is that letter of agreement, which has been reviewed by Rich. We have currently budgeted $35,000. The cost of this will be $33,280. It will run from July 1st, 2019 till June 30th, 2020, and it will provide us 8 hours a week of service. We've all heard a presentation.
Yep.
As well, the person that we'll be using is also employed doing work in Beacon Falls for CERC. She comes very highly recommended, exceptional, very professional. I think she's going to do a lot of good. So, again, at this point then, Rich, anything you want to answer? I should probably ask you if you have anything.
No, this agreement contains a number of revisions that we added to it. I see that the actual document you have in front of you includes those changes, and we're pleased to recommend it.
Any questions for Rich or myself?
I just have one. I know she's gonna be here no more than 8 hours. This person will be here no more than 8 hours per week.
Mm-hmm.
Will they be given sort of like a timesheet or a description of what they have done during the day or during that 8 hours that they've worked?
We'll get a report, yes.
Okay.
What's the individual's name?
What is it? Okay.
Mary Jones. Different circle.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, one's education, the other's
Thanks
economic.
again, I work very close.
Okay, so I'll make sure. All right.
There's some confusion on my end. Where is she getting her assignment from for the work during the week? From the commission or from town hall?
From the commission. And she'll work in conjunction with the compliance office, Jim Baldwin, and the new planner. But there is a lot of work that needs to be done to catch back up, redo files, set up policies and procedures, process, things like that, so.
Under economic development?
Yes. Yes. Okay.
Sparkling pearls do nothing.
No, I'm just wondering if you have
The
more.
answer to the question.
I just wondered if you had another question. No?
No.
Oh, okay, I thought you had another one that you were like loading up. No, okay. Anything else?
Yeah, is it safe to assume that nobody will be able to get in touch with these people outside of the 8 hours a week that they're here?
No. I think we'll definitely be able to get in touch with her. And them.
How's that gonna work?
How's what gonna work?
The phone calls, contact, if people need to get in touch? Because 8 hours a week can be difficult to get in touch
When you
with.
say people, what do you mean by people?
Somebody has questions about economic development in town. If a business owner, potential business owner,
Oh,
property owner.
those will come into our office and we'll get them to her.
Do you think it's gonna be an efficient system with just 8 hours a week?
I do.
Okay. And what kind of, who is going to make a decision whether or not to renew this contract?
The economic development will make a recommendation to this board.
Okay.
Anything else? Okay. Hear nothing else, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Chair votes aye, motion passes 6-0. Item number 11, discussion take possible action regarding vision agreements. I'm going to have Rory jump in and answer some questions if anybody has these, because he has a little bit more in-depth information than I do. Vision provides information for our assessor's office. We had,
Was there a motion for the CERC agreement? I heard the vote, but I didn't hear the motion.
we didn't do a motion?
I didn't hear. Did someone do that?
Oh.
I don't think we did motion.
We're just gonna go with we didn't do one, because none of us remember.
Yeah.
All right, then I'll entertain a motion that we approve the CERC agreement as presented. Motion by Bob, second by Anne Marie. Sorry about that. Yep. Everyone still all in favor?
Maybe we did do them.
Sorry.
Thank you. No, I just didn't write it down.
I might have just gone too fast. So.
Well, we had to because we had a discussion.
Okay. So again, for Vision, Vision does for our assessor's office. An update was due, and we would have had to purchase, and Rory jump in and correct me if I'm wrong, we would have had to purchase a new server as well as stuff to go along with that server. When it got to Rob Dyer, because all IT stuff is run through Rob, Rob immediately raised a red flag. He reached out to Vision, realized that after we had to purchase this server and all the things that we had to do, it was much more cost effective for us to just put everything into the cloud. So he worked with Vision, with the assistance of Rory, and with Joe Kuziak, our assessor, and this is the agreement that we have. So again, this is to continue using Vision, but in a more cost-effective and, I guess we'll argue, more state-of-the-art solution in the cloud. Rory, anything I missed you want to add?
It came down to the system was based on Oracle, who stopped supporting it. So that's the reason that we're following this up.
Okay. Questions?
No, I had a couple of questions on the contract, though, because it does mention a couple things, like item 2.7, it says, with sufficient bandwidth. It's very kind of limited in what's sufficient mean. I mean, I think you're going to want to know some of the stuff in the contract, so they know what, because they're just deeming as sufficient bandwidth. So we need to understand, making sure our bandwidth could, this is a cloud service, so I want to make sure it covers that. And then, they make a reference to a section in section 6.1A. They make a reference to section 5.5, but there's no section reference there. So I just want to, there's certain things in the actual contract, but I just want to make sure that was cleaned up. And then the other thing that kind of made, they said they strive for 99.99% of uptime. Well, you know, what is their current reported uptime? We want to know those things in the contract, I think. We'd want to have them in there.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Thoughts? Okay, so what's the board's pleasure?
Do you want us to make a motion?
I make a motion to table this to the next meeting in light of Bob's comments.
Okay, a motion is table.
So moved.
There's just a second, is there no discussion?
Oh,
That's the second by Anne Marie.
Just
Oh.
to make sure, yeah.
I just want to make it clear, I mean, it's good that we're going to the cloud, it's the right decision, just make sure the
Yeah,
contract's
no,
right.
that's, I don't have a problem with that. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Chair votes aye, motion passes 6-0. All right, so this is tabled to our next meeting. Gloria, can you reach out to Rob, just have those two things cleaned up, we can have it for next Tuesday? Perfect.
I gave a whole, look, the whole review. I gave it a last over.
Which one? Yeah, it's next Tuesday, yeah. We're gonna take care of it. All right, item number 12, discussion take possible action regarding Emery Winslow Tax Incentive application. Okay, Emery Winslow Scale Company, which is at 73 Cogwheel, is going to be moving their entire operation to Seymour. So they will be closing out their Terre Haute, if I'm saying that correctly, manufacturing facility and relocating all production activities to Seymour. As part of this plan, 9 new employees will be or have been hired in various capacities, including assembly line, mechanical engineer, and an operations manager. And they'll hire 3 before June 1st. And the production plant in Seymour is scheduled to be fully operational sometime in the month of May. New suppliers are being sourced and pilot runs conducted between now and May 1st. So they are projecting the estimated value of improvements to their facility, $821,232, and the estimated value of personal property to be located at the project site to be over $1 million. And they have provided some initial backup documentations and also a financial budget.
Says 1,000.
Says 1,000 where?
The Hoosiers made an error.
Yeah, that's a typo. That's a comma. It says a period instead of a comma. Yeah. So.
I figured it'd be worth more than that, they're making scales.
Yeah. I think 9 employees bring more than $1,000 worth of
Yeah,
personal
I
property in
hope
their
so.
pockets.
Oh, I hope so.
Most days.
There we
So.
go.
And again, if you go to that last page, you can see the plan, their budget and everything else. All right, so all we're doing at this point is voting to accept them as a potential participant in the plan. They would still need, once the work is completed, to have everything reviewed by town council, the assessor, and then at that point, we would make a recommendation as to if they would receive any type of final incentive based on their finalized numbers. So at this point, I will make a motion to tentatively accept Emery Wilson Scale Company into the Town of Seymour Tax Incentive Program.
So moved.
Motion by Anne Marie, second by Trish. Is there any discussion?
Quickly, would the CERC representative be signing off on this at some point if we go forward? There is a spot for Economic Development Director signature.
No, because this should be done before the person begins on July 1st.
Okay.
But going forward, yes, Economic Development would make the recommendation. These would actually come from Economic Development.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Chair votes aye, motion passes 6-0. Item number 13, discussion, take possible action regarding ordinances. Okay, we have one ordinance, section 15-13C, the manufacturer's exemption. This has gone to the ordinance committee, which sent it back as written. It was gone through public hearing. There was no reason given at public hearing to make any changes, so now it is back to this board to approve. So at this point, I'll entertain a motion to approve the section 15-13C manufacturer's exemption as presented.
Second.
Motion from Anne Marie, second by Stefan. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed, abstained? Chair votes aye, motion passes 6-0. Rich, this goes into effect in 21 days, correct? So Roy, can you reach out and let the affected parties know? Thank you. All right, item number 14 is executive session. At this point, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session at 7:27 PM, and we'll be inviting Town Council Richard Paterla to join us, as well as Rory Burke, the acting HR person.
So moved.
Motion by Trish, second by Al. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Chair votes aye, motion passes 6-0.